Big Dog. Here we are, back at it again at 5-Star Lineman Academy. I'm out here, man. I'm ready to get my work in today. Okay, we talked about the 3-point stance. We talked about the 2-point stance. One of my favorites is the 4-point stance. Listen, this has some huge advantages to it. If you master the 4-point stance, nobody can stop you. The 4-point stance is a very good stance to be able to master. That's the big dog stance. If you can master that, you can have a very explosive first 2 steps. The 4-point stance is very similar to the 3-point stance, okay, in several ways. It's almost exactly alike. One, you still have heel to toe ratio in your feet. You still have the same depth in your stance. 2, you still have the same width. It should be right underneath your hips or right underneath your shoulders, right there. You still should be able to reach down and touch your feet. They shouldn't be too wide in a 4-point stance. Same thing as a 3-point stance. Your hand placement is the same. With a 3-point stance, obviously you put one hand down in a 3-point stance. 4-point stance, like a dog, you got both hands down. You're on all fours here. That's why I love it. Big dog stance. Now, but the principle is the same. Your hands must be aligned with your feet. That is extremely important because, again, we're talking about weight distribution. Kind of easier when you put both hands down because you can't really get that wrong like you can with one hand. But here you have 2 hands down. Watch. So I'm going to start off with my left foot back. But watch how my down hand is aligned with my feet. Feet underneath my shoulder, heel toe ratio, hands are aligned with my feet. Right there, big dog. There you go. Very simple. Very, very simple. So I'm gonna get on this side with my right foot back. Same concept. Hand vertically aligned with my back foot. And my other hand is aligned with my front foot. Right here. Right there. Perfect. You can't get that wrong, okay? If your heel-toe ratio at the width of your shoulders and your hands are aligned with your feet, that is a perfectly balanced big dog stance. It is perfect. You can't get that wrong, okay? Make sure your hands, when you put them down, are aligned with your feet. It's called vertical alignment. I don't care if you have to touch your toes and walk them out. Touch your toes and walk them out. Boom. You know they are vertically aligned. That is huge. You don't want them outside, obviously, your hands. Okay, that's too wide. You don't want them inside. But you want them vertically aligned with your feet. Got it? Next thing. Okay, coach, I got my feet placement. I know where my feet go. I know the depth and the width of my feet. But what about my hand placement? We know as far as our hand placement, we want to try to make them horizontal, not vertical. This is a little bit quicker. Why? Because if I turn my index and thumb vertical, it's going to work my elbows out. See that? If I can turn my index and thumb horizontal, it's going to work my elbows in. That's where you want them. You want your elbows inside, and having your index and thumb horizontal helps do that. So we know that. You want to try to get them on the same horizontal line when you get them down. Now, how far out, coach, do I have them? Now, there is a 4-point stance for run, and there's a 4-point stance for pass. Now, your stance can be the same, but for big dog, my stance is a little different. My 4-point stance would be different for my pass. Okay, let's talk about how far. How far do I put my hands? Again, about a shoe and a half. About a shoe and a half. About right there. That's where I will put both my hands down. Here we go. right there. I think that's perfect. You may be a taller guy, so there may be 2 shoes. Let's take a look at it. 1, 2. That might be more comfortable for you, but you have to be careful that you don't have too much weight on your hand. But if you feel better that way, then put them there. Right there is pretty good, okay? All depends on you. Now, some people like to have their hands away from their shoulder. I don't like it, but some people do. What do you mean, coach? Heel toe ratio, that's about 2 shoes. My shoulder is right on top of that shoe. But some people like to have their hands extended out. You see that? Not down, but out. Now, you like that, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. It actually helps you push you back in your hips, okay? What it actually can do is lock your hips there. Some D tackles like to put their hands directly right under their shoulder joint, like this. Okay, now my hands is right under my shoulder, right there. You got those that have it a little bit further out, and that takes some pressure off your fingers. Nothing wrong with that, and it locks you in your hips. And some people put their hands right underneath their shoulder, and nothing wrong with that either. Puts more pressure on your hands, but it's personal preference, big dog. My arms. Is we put so much weight on our hands, our elbows bend, and the first thing we do is push up. I don't know about you, but I don't want to go up. I want to go out. So you'll see guys get in their stance and they'll drop their shoulders to the ground, and they're so much so to where their elbows will bend, and now the first thing they have to do is push off to the hands in order to work my hands. In my opinion, that does not help you. That hurts you, because my body obeys my hands. My body obeys my hands. If the first thing I'm doing is pushing up, I know I'm not going up. I'm not going up. Even if it's run. If I'm pushing up and then punching out, that's what you call negative movement. Not positive. That's negative. I'm not doing the right thing with my hands. They must go out if it's run, or they must split if it's pass. But you don't need to be pushing off your hands for the first step. Now we're wasting time. Big dog, listen to me. Okay? In the 4-point stance, there's a difference between arms bent and pushing for my first step and splitting for my first step. So if your arms are bent, the first thing you're gonna do is push off the ground. Well, I'm not going out anymore. I'm going up. I've gotta go out, okay? Let me show you a front view. Here we go. You do not want your arms bent like that, because now I have to push off the ground. So there's a difference between pushing and splitting and just splitting. You want to just split and explode, split and explode, split and explode out my hips. How do I do that, coach? You do that by keeping your arms as locked as you possibly can. Heel toe ratio, keep your arms locked or slightly bent, and split. Okay, that's what you want in a 4-point stance. That is a big deal. We can't push up and split. We gotta just split. Get in your 4-point stance, the big dog stance, about 1.5 to 2 shoes away from the front foot. Lined up with my feet. butt above my head, power in my hips, 90-degree angle, and split. Okay, that's how you should come out in your 4-point stance. That's how big dogs come out in their 4-point stance, like that. Let's look at it again. Once you do this over and over again, you don't have to measure and see where my hands go. You automatically know it's embedded in you. Right here. At the tackle, I'm in my 4-point stance. Right here. Load it. And split. Hey, nothing like coming off the ball, boy. I love it. Get a good stance, fire at your hips and come off the ball. One more time. 4-point stance, big dog stance. Right here. Slightly bent, not bent here. Slightly bent, almost locked out, and split. There we go. Now that's the 4-point stance you gotta have. Right there. That's what you want. And make sure you do both sides. Right? Work the left. One time. Let's do it one time. Right here. Watching the ball. Right there. One more time because it felt good. Visualize the ball. Focus on what you're going to attack, but peripheralize the ball. Focus on what you're going to attack, but peripheralize the ball. You understand what I'm saying? I know when I'm going to strike on him, but I can't move until that ball moves. That ball is my goal. I move with the ball. Let me tell you something, big dog. I'm going to get up close. Here's a secret to getting off the ball. Don't move on the ball. Don't move when the ball moves. Move with the ball. That's quick. Move with the ball. Don't move when the ball moves. Don't move on the ball. Try to move with the ball. With the ball. That's quick. Guarantee you a sack. If you can move with the ball, if you can do it, I know you can do it. Here we go. 4-point stance. Heel-toe ratio. I got my hips up, my arm locked. I'm looking at what I'm going to attack, but I can peripheralize the ball. Okay, 90, hips up, above my head, and split. Right there. Boy, that felt good. I came ready to work today. Progress every day. Every day. That's the right 4-point stance you should have. That's it right there. Okay, that's your 4-point stance. That's the big dog stance. That's how we do it. At 5-star, that's how we come off the ball. Let's go to work.